of, can we affect change and have other stories be showcased as well? And that's the way that I want the world to work also.
Sure.
I want to be able to vote with those dollars too.
And then as far as it being a story about rape, like I said, I'm about free speech, and I get that this is an art, but should comedians be able to tell jokes about rape? I think that they should be. Should artists be able to do art about that kind of stuff? Absolutely, they should be. And then about whether people are canceled or not, it's like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, a lot of really great artists.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well, I don't care. Go back. I mean, are you going to take down Picasso's? He was problematic.
Yeah.
Who are you not going to look at?
I think
and if Vincent van Gogh was alive today, would we cancel him?
Yeah.
It's like you have to look at the artist, not the art, in my point of view.
I get that, but I also
I'm not going to not listen to Michael Jackson. Do I believe that he did those things to those kids? I absolutely do. Do I think it's okay that he has good music? Yes. Do I think Picasso was a complete, out of control, terrible human being? Yes. Do I like to look at his art and see the progression of what happened in the late 18th century, early 19th century with Cubism and who learned from him and what happened? Yes. Do I think that I mean, just look at it. All of this century's artists, all the white men got more attention and more money, and they were in galleries, and there were women of color and people that didn't get promoted. Was it wrong? Yes. Do I say Andy Warhol's canceled? Absolutely not.
But that comes to the point of where we're at now. And so now that we know that those things are there, do I have to continue that trend? I say no. I say now I can sit there and go, no, I want to affect change from the grassroots of the studio and go, if you are going to support a project, I want you to support this one. And tell them ahead of time before they dump all their movie money into this one project when there's 20 other projects that they can
just
support.
vote with your feet when it comes out and don't go to it.
No, I'm going to do both. I'm going to do both. I'm going to do both. I'm going to vote with my words now so that they can make the other things, because sometimes you need to be as proactive about the things you want to be made as being negative about the things that have been made. So I want them to go, I am supporting these other ones. I want them to put their dollars towards these other projects. So I'm going to say up front, I don't think I'm going to go see that.
Yeah, I get that point of view.
With me, I agree with everything you're saying, Shannan, and they can exercise their First Amendment rights to make whatever movie they want, but I reserve the right to call out the hypocrisy of what they're doing as far as the subject matter. I think these guys are absolute hypocrites.
Yes, and they can do it. They both have their own money.
Why are they hypocrites for doing this particular subject matter?
Because they both have been called out for their behavior and generally around the Me Too movement, and for being, as Shannan said.
But what Matt Damon did in the Me Too movement, let's be clear, his behavior around the Me Too movement that he was called out for was for being a complete idiot.
Yes.
And saying that people should pay more attention to men that aren't bad.
Yes. This is true. He did say that.
That was his thing.
Yes.
So, I mean, does it mean that he can't write a movie with this type of subject matter? That's a complex question.
Yeah,
he didn't do anything. He just said, pay attention to guys that aren't bad.
I just wish,
like an idiot.
Here's what I wish, and I'm not saying that I want to control his artistic output or anything like that. I just wish, given that he went through that and was called out for it, and Ben Affleck was called out for his involvement in things he did, learn from that. Demonstrate that you learn from it as a filmmaker, and don't do what sounds to be a really backwards facing male celebrating fathers of daughters type of movie.
Right. You don't know that it's going to be like that.
Maybe it won't.
Okay, look at Game of Thrones. Full of rape. Full of terrible things. A lot of women love that show because they think it's empowering to women.
And that's their right. That's their right. I'm just saying that my reaction...
maybe this movie could be that.
It may
and
be.
it could be empowering to women.
We
don't know.
Well,
right.
I don't...
It can be both.
Well, then they need to sell me on that.
Yeah.
And thus far, they have not. And so I'm going to keep asking the questions.
We don't know what it is yet because they haven't had the chance to make it.
It's true.
Well, and I just don't even see... I'm gonna dig my heels in here. I just don't see how they can convince me.
I'm pretty about these kinds of things because I love Game of Thrones, and the character who probably got it the worst was my favorite character, and I feel like she came out on top.
And I'm one of those people that tapped out on it
because
I didn't like the way that it treated women.
Me too.
So I think,
but I liked how it treated women,
and I had that right. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the cool thing.
And we can keep having these discussions. I think that is good. That at least we are having these discussions, and it's not like
I think it's good to be able to tell stories about rape and see what happens to the women. And I don't know that it's necessarily all for men and bad for women to do that. I don't know. If there's a good woman writer in the room, I don't know what's going to come out of that. I'm open-minded.
That's true. Maybe it'll be a very
and
realistic
I think Ridley
depiction.
Scott does really good women character movies.
All right, well,
he did Aliens with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, he did.
He's given us great women. I don't know. I'm not ready to cancel it.
Okay.
I think it's. I would rather not. I think our First Amendment rights and our free speech. I got really into politics when I was in high school. I thought Tipper Gore was awful. She wanted to censor Prince over Darling Nikki and the Purple Rain album. My goodness gracious, we still have those parental warnings. Nobody should censor that. I mean, I wasn't censored as a kid. I was in Paris when I was in middle school, and my parents let me have the Playboy with Madonna in it because I was a Madonna fan, and we could listen to anything.
But here's
and see
the
any
difference,
art.
though, is that
and then Jesse Helms was out there trying to censor Robert Mapplethorpe because he had AIDS and he was making political gay art about having AIDS, and the National Endowment of Arts was under. None of that should happen, and I don't like the tone of what's happening now with all of this stuff. I think it's better to back way up and give it a wide berth than talk about not doing it.
That is not the same. Creating art like that is not the same as giving big budget Hollywood marketing dollars behind these two
Slippery
guys.
slope.
I'm one of those things. There are so many voices out there and stories like that are not being showcased because Disney owns everything. And because we give money to Ben Affleck and those kind of things.
We need more money for the National Endowment of the Arts. And
right.
Jesse
Yeah, we
Helms
do.
and Tipper Gore did damage too.
Well,
I mean, I think if we crusaded relentlessly for everything to be open and all stories to be heard and free speech to happen, and what happened in the 80s, like I said, when I really didn't like it, and if America wasn't so puritanical and thought that things needed to be stopped all the time, we'd be in a better place. It's this kind of thing that hurts us.
We're not. I don't think that this is the same. This is not a free speech issue. This is what this is two guys who are sitting there telling a story that isn't their story. So I want to hear her talk about this story. And I don't. And if the position that they're coming from is guys get to, if they're telling this story and they're going, well, back then it was different, and they're telling another one of those stories, and I'm supposed to give license to the fact that women were treated as property back then, and I'm supposed to forget that things are different now.
Yeah.
I don't need another one of those stories right now.
There's
other stories that can be told that I want the dollars to go to as well. So
and I'm like, just everybody should do everything, and I'm very libertarian when it comes to this kind of thing. When it comes to art and saying that we shouldn't have people and whatever.
I'm not saying that they can never make it. Somebody can make it. There's just other reasons where I'm not going to sit there and go, if they're going to ask me, I'm not going to sit here and champion the fact that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are making this movie.
And can we all agree that none of us will ever name anything Tipper?
She was up to some no good stuff, and this is where
I don't like
the
her name.
right wing and the left wing can meet, and they both become fascist.
Fair enough.
It's fascist to do that.
All right, we have to move on to our final segment, and it is going to be hopefully a little more lighthearted because today returns Excuse Me, Sir, where we give some dating advice based upon basically Judy and mine's Bumble and Tinder profiles.
Oh yeah.
So Judy, do you want to start? I know we were talking about in this particular case that there are some dating red flags that are out there. So for all of our folks out there that are trying to get into the online dating, we enjoy bringing this up. And again, Samantha, you're very lucky that you don't have to weed into this because it's a difficult road to navigate. And so we had an article that came out, and most of the things that came out in this article, right, Judy, were things that were like, well, yeah, of course, that's a red flag.
Yeah, they weren't the subtle red flags that are so, like, you should know that this is like some monkey business.
Right. There should be no question.
Like things like they aren't kind to animals, children, or elderly people. Like, who's like, yeah, if they're clearly mean to animals, like what, you know?
Yeah.
I like this one because I have refused to go out on additional dates with people because one of them was when they're rude to a server at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I took that one
yeah.
step forward further. I actually was dating a guy for a while, and we went into a convenience store, and I felt like he treated the staff at the convenience store inappropriately, like he was above them, and was just incredibly rude. And I was like, well, if that's the way you treat them, I don't need that. You know.
There's one on here that was like when he stays friends with all his exes. And I thought, you know, one thing that I don't like, and I actually don't date people that are too recently divorced because of this. But if they've been divorced for a long time and they're still doing this, I don't like it when they're always arguing with their ex.
Oh.
Fair enough.
And in huge fights with them, in that drama, because it's like, you were fighting all the time, and that's why you got divorced.
Right.
Like, why would you go through the point of getting a divorce so you could continue this fighting relationship with a person? It's time to knock it off.
Right. Yes. I like this
Either
one.
don't communicate or find a way to just not fight. I can't stand it.
I think that
if
it's
somebody goes on a date with you and they talk about how they're in this huge fight or always fighting, or it's my ex again, we're in a fight. I'm just like,
yeah.
can we
If they bring
not?
up their ex and it's always in a negative way too, I don't like that either. I agree with you. Where I'm going, if you're going to bring them up in the first place, you know, I don't need to. I feel like some
we
people do
not?
that.
Yeah.
I think they do it to kind of make themselves sound better, where clearly it was not their fault that the relationship tanked, that they're really good at relationships.
Sure.
But their ex wasn't. The
When
other
you got
thing,
a divorce, things went south.
right.
We get that.
I think this is similar. According to this BuzzFeed article, I think this is similar when they criticize everything you say or do. And and I think that comes down to, okay, somebody read that article a million years ago about negging and how you do a couple of cutesy negative things, but they just don't know how to stop it. So they think that it's going to be cool. And I'm like, no, I don't need that. I'm totally fine staying single. I don't need your help on telling me what's wrong with me.
So do you guys want to know what my biggest, like, all-time red flag is to look for in a dating profile? Okay, here it is, and this works for the ladies and for the men. It's a universal thing to look for if anybody says it's in a dating profile, or says it to you when you're chatting to them, or says it to you in real life. Just, it's time to just like leave a $20 bill on the table and walk out, or swipe right, or whatever it is you have to do to exit. If anybody ever says, I don't like game players, or I don't like playing games, or anything about game playing, they don't do it, they don't like it, they don't want somebody to play games.
Right.
Anybody who says that, that's a tell.
Right.
They are most certainly playing games.
Right.
They are
You've
playing
been invited
games.
to a game.
They are playing games, and they're going to play games with you, and they are definitely up to playing games.
Right.
They are going to be playing lots of games. That is
They
a
probably-
woo.
They're in the midst of a game right now.
They are a game player. A red flag has been raised. Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Good day, sir. Good day. Okay.
Wait. I have one.
I'm
though,
going
too,
to tell you how I found out about this.
Oh, okay.
There was this guy who clearly did not want any game players because his profile clearly said, I want no games to be played. Okay. So I talked to him. I was early in this. I hadn't figured out this was a red flag yet. So we decided to go out. I was going to see him. And the only way that he would see me is if I came to his house.
Oh, gosh, no.
I never met this person before, and I had to come to his place on like a Friday night, and I said no, and then he started calling me a game player.
Like, I am not
He's
coming
like,
to your home.
game player? Game player?
It's like, I would
and
prefer...
I was like, excuse me, sir.
Excuse
the only one
me.
playing games here is you.
Sir.
Exactly. I found a new
And
one.
I've had this happen a few times to me, and that's how I know people who say that they are not wanting. And they will accuse you of playing games when they are the ones indeed the ones that are game players.
How about
sir.
a public place, sir? I would like to meet you in a public place.
Well,
an Applebee's at least. Can we go to a nice, crowded Applebee's where there are witnesses to whatever game you plan on playing? That's what I...
Applebee's, sir.
Then he would accuse you of being a game player.
Right, because I'm like, I'm not coming to your house.
Wow.
I'm like, because whatever game you have, like with some horror movie game that you had planned in your house, I am not partaking. I found this new one. I thought this would be a good one. I think this is a red flag. When they are trying to tell you what you should be like in their profile. So there's an example. So here's one.
Play the sound. That is a huge red flag. When they describe what you should be. Another profile red flag.